Hi, all, and welcome to Monday Night's All Meta Mode podcast with myself, Amanda Degaz, and with Gypsy from Zero Discrimination, and we have special guest Miguel Ardito. Well, before we bring Miguel on, hey Gypsy, how are ya?
I'm great. How about yourself, Amanda?
Doing all right.
Awesome. So, did you get out this week and do any detecting or treasure hunting?
I sure did, actually. I got out metal detecting, and I think I mentioned last week I had a really good spell last weekend with a couple large scents and an Indian head and some other things. So I went back and ended up pulling a great big tomback button, a
Nice,
giant,
nice.
giant piece of a crotal bell.
Oh, man.
Yeah, of course it's broken. So, but
Uh,
yeah, how about
there's got to be a
yourself?
hole. I'm sure there's a hole in there. I mean,
Oh,
you're finding big pieces there, but um, no hole in. So I'm sure you will before too long.
yeah. So how about you? Have you gotten out?
Yeah, I was only able to get out, let's see, once this week. I actually got out yesterday, and it was kind of cool. I got out with one of my new friends. Her name is Echo, and that's her real name. And she had a friend named Earl that had apparently been watching me on YouTube, and he has an old White's metal detector. And it was actually the White's machine that was made, I think, originally from Sears and Roebuck, or White's made it for Sears, so it was
Huh.
probably sold in the Sears catalog back in the day. And he has one of that. It was in really, really good shape. He showed it to me, and anyway, they had the previous day. She had shown me some photos of an old bridge and up on a river, she said. She was showing me. I said, "Oh, that might be a good place to explore and go metal detect." So we ended up going yesterday, and I let them both use my Apexes, and I used my AT Max. And I started videoing on the bridge and then below the bridge, and mainly us metal detecting along there. And as I went along, I kept seeing these holes. And then before long, I was like, oh boy, somebody's been here very recently. There were these holes, and then there would be a piece of trash right beside it. You could tell where someone had dug an aluminum can, and there was a can, one big piece of flat, like a metal tin, right outside of a big hole. I mean, a big piece. And then I checked some of these holes, and some of them, they never retrieved the target. And I could tell that they were probably a deep can or something of that nature. So this whole area had been detected by someone very recently. And it looked like a little minefield once you started walking. But so, yeah, we didn't find much. It was very littered with trash. You can tell a lot of people go under there, and they build fires and they party. So we were getting stuff like melted aluminum, etc. So anyway, we left there and went exploring at another place where they had said that there was at one time an old dump. And unfortunately, the dump has been covered, and they built like a bunch of fields, like baseball diamonds and stuff like that, with bleachers and everything right on top of this old dump. So we ended up walking down into the river there, and I found a really cool ammonite, which I think I posted on TikTok. I'll probably share it on some other things as well. Beautiful little fossil.
It's awesome.
But that was about the extent of my treasure hunting this week. But I'm leaving tomorrow, going to my parents for Thanksgiving holidays, and hopefully, usually when I go to East Texas, I get out a few times. So, of course, my Apex and AT Max and probably even AT Pro goes with me because sometimes my brother or somebody else wants to tag along and go detecting with me. So, anyway, that's what's planned. So I'll leave early in the morning to head that way.
That's awesome. Very cool. I keep forgetting this week is
So
Thanksgiving.
I know it doesn't seem possible. This year has flown by, and one thing I am working on, I hope to have it done tonight, so it'll air either tonight or in the morning before I head out, is our button dump video from when we were up in New York this fall. What is that? How long has that been now? What, 2 months? One? I can't even keep up.
October.
Almost 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, October, November. Anyway, at the beginning of October. So, and we'll talk more about that later, about the button dump. But y'all be looking for my new video on YouTube with Amanda and I and our friend Scott for a little while, digging in the button dump. We might ask Miguel, our guest, in a little bit. I know he got to go to the button dump. So what do you say we bring in our guest?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. Hey, Miguel, how are you?
Hey, I am doing great. How are y'all doing tonight?
We are wonderful, wonderful. So it's good to have you on again. I know it's probably been a while. And I'm sure you heard us talking about the button dump. We'll bring that in later if you want. But let's get down to, if you don't mind, introduce yourself. Tell people how long you've been metal detecting and how you kind of got into it. We'll start from there.
Okay, well, I am Miguel, and I actually work for Garrett. I started 7.5 years ago, and that's pretty much how I got into metal detecting. I had no clue. Yeah, I had no clue that people metal detected. So when I went in for my interview, and I interviewed with Steve, the marketing director, my boss, and Vaughn, Garrett, the owner's son, Vaughn walked around and showed me the museum, and he gave me a tour of the facility and stuff, and I was just like overwhelmed. I was like, oh my gosh, people do this for a hobby and stuff, and then for a living. I was like, this is freaking cool. So yeah, so everyone since I was little always was into history, and I always loved like fossils and rocks and stuff like that. So when he mentioned treasure and stuff, I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I thought that was really cool, and I immediately replied back the next day after my interview. I said, I think I'd be a great asset to the company, and blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, they brought me back for a second interview, and they made me an offer, and I accepted. And 7.5 years later, I'm still there.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, that's exciting. Can you give us a little background maybe on the first time you got to turn on a detector? I know that you probably got to see firsthand how they were made there at the home office, but actually getting out for the first time, I wonder that must have been something amazing. Did they take you out to like a test field first, or how did that come about?
Well, actually, my first week, I was just kind of getting my feet wet and, figuring out everything with the computer and stuff, and learning the process for things and stuff like that, because they brought me on as a graphic designer. And so that's my background, was graphic design, digital imaging. And there was a AT Pro sitting above my desk. And I'm still in the same desk that I was started 7.5 years ago. I haven't even moved. Same chair, not computer, the upgraded computer. But so there's an AT Pro sitting right above my head. And Steve kept saying, hey, get it out, take it home for the weekend, and, go mess around at a little park or something, I was like, all right. I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew he showed me how to turn it on and listen to beeps. So I turned it on, and I came home, and I turned it on that Friday after work. I've only been at work 5 days. So I came home, and I turned it on, and I just do a couple pennies and quarters and stuff in my front yard, and I was listening to the tones and stuff, and I was kind of getting an idea. I was like, okay, different coins make different sounds. I get that. That's kind of cool. So I did a search in my backyard, and I found a penny. And I was like, oh, wow, I found a penny. It was like a 76 Lincoln or something like that. I was like, this is so cool. So the next morning,
right?
I got up and went to, there's a little park, like not even 2-minute walk from my house in our neighborhood. So I was like, I'm going to go take this for an hour and just see what I can find. I had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know about discrimination or notching or, I had no clue what I was doing at all. And so I'm swinging, and I found some change in the little tot lot, and then I kind of made my way outside around the picnic tables and stuff, and there's some grassy areas, and I found something that kind of looked like a bolt, but it had mud stuck in it and stuff, and I didn't really know what it was, and I just flung it in my pouch, and I was like, oh, I'll just clean all this stuff up when I get back to the house. So I walked back to the house after about an hour, and I started going through my finds, and I tell you, that little clump of mud that looked like a bolt, I cleaned out the mud, and it turned out it was 2 silver James Avery rings stuck together. And it was a big one, and it had a smaller one, like cockeyed, so it was like stuck in there. And I was like, oh. Once I cleaned it out, I seen that it was a ring, but then I realized it was 2 rings. So I took a wooden block, and I took another board, and I hit it on top of the board, so I didn't scratch the ring with a hammer, and it popped out the other ring. Yeah. And so it was 2 James Avery silver rings for my basically first hour of hunting, and I was instantly hooked. I was like, okay,
I bet you
I just found a new hobby.
That's hilarious. The first time I went detecting out with Steve and everybody was telling me about your beginner's luck, and they were telling me some other stories too, but we'll wait and let you tell them. But I know Amanda has a plethora of questions for you too, so go ahead, Amanda.
Well, yeah, you kind of you went over the first detector, but so which detector or detectors do you mainly use now?
Oh, normally if you're going to see me go out, I'm going to either have my Apex, which is an amazing machine, and I just love it. It's lightweight. I love the small coil. The 5x8, the little Ripper coil is just my go-to coil. Pretty much.
That's
everywhere.
what I was just telling Amanda. Yeah, she was asking me about coils the other day for hers, and I said you really need to get that 5x8 Ripper coil. It's my favorite as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, but when you're in a big field, you do suffer because you're not covering as much ground, so you're going slower and stuff. But I hunt slow anyways because that's how I just always take my time. I've always learned over the years that metal detecting is a patient sport. You really got to take your time and listen. I actually hunt now by sound. I don't use the numbers at all. I mean, I use them to double check stuff, but most of the time, 90% of the time, I don't even look at the numbers. I can tell what a target is by just the sound. And I've trained my ears for that. And over different machines, too. So I switch between the AT Max and the Apex are my 2 go-to machines. And both of them, I usually have a 5x8 coil on both of them. Now, I have other arsenal of coils that I carry with me, and I love the new Viper coil on the AT Max because it's the perfect coil between the big coil and the small coil. It's right in between them, and it's just, I mean, you can cover more ground, but it still has that narrow ability to narrow down in the iron infested areas like an old home site.
I agree totally. I've gotten to where, for a while, I switched for my AT Max. I switched to my small 5x8 coil, but when that AT Viper came out, I've been using it when I use my AT Max, and I haven't changed it since. I like it so much on the Max.
It's the perfect coil between the two. So, I mean, there's really no reason to go, I mean, unless you're in a big field and it's just a big pile field and you want to cover a lot of ground, because it's just massive, and you're like, man, I'll be here all day. Then, that you use either the Reaper, which is a new coil that Garrett's offering for the AT, or go with the 8.5 by 11. But definitely the Viper is one of my now go-to coils for the AT Max. I still like the little. I mean, the 5x8 is just. I just know that coil. I don't know. I can just trust it. And I like getting in little small crevices and stuff with it. So, and that's usually where I find the best stuff. I get up underneath the tree. And it makes Steve mad because I'm always finding good stuff underneath the tree.
That's so true. Well, tell us about some of your, so we know your first time out with the AT Pro, you find 2 James Avery silver rings. Tell us about the next time that you got out, maybe what machine you went when you found something pretty amazing, or the next few times.
Okay. So after I started with Garrett, I've been maybe a year and a half. We went to Virginia, and we were going to do some water hunting with Bo. And it was Civil War hunting, and I'd never Civil War hunted ever before.
Right.
He had alone been in the water with a detector. So I was like, So we were there for, I think, 4 days with Bo. Yeah, different animal hunting. So we were there with Bo, and the first day I was just strictly on the camera. I was following Steve, following Bo, kind of learning still because I was still a newbie, and I didn't really know that. I mean, I started learning the detectors, but I didn't really know them like as well as they have. Right. They've been detecting forever, and at this point, and I'm still like, I'm only, I'm still a freshman at this point. So I'm watching them the first day, and Bo pops out this immaculate belt plate. Like it looked like it had just been dropped the day before. And I was like, wow. That's amazing. It's so, so pretty. And we're in the river, of course, and Brian was with us, and he films him getting it out and stuff. And I'm like, that's really cool. Well, the next day, we take the kayak back out, and there's an actual video of all this on YouTube that we filmed from our trip. And
cool.
The second day, we forgot to tie the kayak. So we're all getting stuff, and we all walk back up to the truck, and I walk back down, and me and Steve were like, where's the kayak? And sure enough, it's about, I don't know, a quarter mile down the river. So I jump in, not even changed yet, and I have to haul butt all the way down and catch it. Thank God I caught it. Then I walk all the way back upriver, carrying it over, and of course they've got the camera and they're filming this. So that's on the video. But so that day I actually started swinging, and I think, if I recall, I had the Pro, and still a newbie, didn't know what I was doing, and Steve let me swing a little bit. He's like, take your chance, see if you can find a mini ball or something like that out in the river. Okay, and Bo took us to a good spot where he knew that there was going to be some stuff found. So they're, of course, ahead of me because Steve took off with my pinpointer. And so I didn't have a pinpointer, so I'm having to do everything by my hand.
That's extra hard.
Yeah. So they're probably a good 3-5 minutes away from me up the river, and I'm by myself, still learning, newbie. And sure enough, I get a good signal. I go down, I pat the water around and move some rocks around and stuff, and there is a belt plate upside down, sitting in the middle of the river. My first time ever metal detecting Civil War, and I found a belt plate. And I pick it up, and I'm excited, and I scream out in the air. And I was like, I got a plate! And they both kind of, Brian and Steve and Bo are looking at like, he doesn't have a plate. He don't even know what he's doing. And sure enough, they come walking down the river up to me, and they're like, oh my gosh, he's got a plate. And I'm like looking at it, and I was like, this is awesome. It's amazing. I was like, you got lots of these, don't y'all? And they're like, no, those are actually kind of rare. I was like,
hard to find.
Really? I was like, Bo's like, let me tell you. He's like, I've been hunting for like 20-something years at this point. He's like, I know guys that have been hunting for 30-something years and never found a plate. And you come out on your first Civil War trip, and in the river, you find yourself a Civil War plate. I was like, I guess beginner's luck. I don't know. It's just crazy.
Oh, wow. So it was a U.S. plate?
Yes, it's a U.S. Plate. So
wow.
I have it.
So do you
still have it
displayed at home?
Yep, I
Cool.
still have it. I found two round balls, two mini balls. One was pushed in, and they looked like they poked a hole in the middle of the mini ball and made it look like a homemade sinker for fishing.
Oh,
And it's actually a
cool.
really, really cool looking one. And and then the plate, I found all that on that trip, and it's like my first Civil War, relics and stuff. And of course now I've been to Virginia like a million times now over the last 7 years and stuff, and
Right.
I've got other stuff that just blows the plate away. So,
Wow.
but
Well, I'll
yeah.
let Amanda ask that question because we're curious now.
Well, so what would be your personal favorite find? I mean, obviously coming from finding a belt plate in the river on your first like Civil War hunt is pretty up there for like epic finds. But do you have a favorite or something that you think is the one of your like
I
number
do
one?
actually. I do. I mean, I do have some white whales and bucket listers and stuff like everybody. Everybody. But yeah, I do have actually a really nice one of my favorite finds of all my metal detecting in the last 7.5 years. Let's see, 3 years ago, I guess I was attending the bone hunt. We were. It was pouring down rain, and we went out with this guy. We kind of left the site from bone hunt, and we went out with this guy, and he invited us, a bunch of people, to these other sites to go hunt. And Bo was with us at this hunt, and these people, we went to one site, and we were there for a couple hours, and then half of the team left, and they went to another site. Well, me, Steve, and Bo, and I think there was like maybe one or two other people. They stuck around later, and we were like, we'll catch up with y'all later. We'll go to the other side in a little bit. We want to stay here for a little bit. So about an hour and a half goes by, and we get tired of hunting at that one spot. So we're like, let's go back over to the other place and hunt with them. So it takes us about 30, 40 minutes. We gather up our stuff, drive down the road about another 20 minutes, and we meet them at this big field. So they've been there, I don't know, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and there's like 20 of them. And the field's only about 3 acres, 2 or 3 acres. It's actually quite small. And they've been there for about 2 hours. So granted, there's 20, 25 people on about 2 acres hunting for 2 hours. It's pouring down rain. It's been pouring down rain the whole day. I walk onto the field. And this is another one of those, oh my gosh, this guy moments. Not 10 minutes into me swinging, I get a good signal. I'm using my AT Max. I had the small coil, of course. And I dig a big plug because I got a solid 62. I think it was a 62. I'm pretty sure it was a 62. It was 62 or 64. It was a 60 number. And I instantly just been up there for the last week hunting and digging buttons and stuff like that, other kinds of things. I've kind of learned the target signals and stuff. So I had a good range in my mind that it was a button, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I popped the plug, and sure enough, in the bottom of the plug, it was in the bottom of the plug. It was visible. I didn't have to dig around or anything because I made a big plug. Because I was like, man, I know this is probably going to be, I knew where we were at. I knew it was old. So I'm like, I don't want to scratch it. So I made a big plug. I mean, it was pretty, I probably should have made this plug this big for this little bitty target. Sure enough, I plug it up, and I clean off, and it says, "Long live the president," and it's about the size of a dime. And I'm like, what is that? So I immediately run over to Bo, because he's I don't know why, I just figured he knew what it was. I was like,
Guru, right?
Is this what I think it is? Is this a presidential button? And he's like, I'm not 100% sure. Go ask the guy that brought us. So sure enough, I go over there and I ask him, and I show him, and he looks at it, and he looks up at me. He looks at it, looks back up at me. He reaches out and shakes my hand. He goes, "Congratulations." I'm like, "Well, what is it?" And he goes, "It's a George Washington inaugural cuff button from 1789. And it's a little bitty one. It's like the super rare one." Yeah. I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" He's like, "No. It's missing the shank." That's the one downside. It doesn't have the shank. But I've looked it up in Albert's books. I don't know if y'all know. You know Albert's books.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we have one at work, and it's the 17B version, and it's missing the shank. It has a small star. So it says "Long live the presidents" all the way around, and then it has a small star underneath it. And in your podcast picture that you posted for tonight, it's the middle picture is my button.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And that's probably one of my best finds. I mean, it's in my safe. Let's just say that.
Okay.
And it's a cuff.
And it hasn't left. Yeah, it's a cuff button.
And isn't that that seems to be the rarer of the two? If you're going for the big dandy size or the little, the cuffs aren't really.
It's like it's like smaller. It's about the size of a dime or smaller.
It's awesome.
Wow, that's epic. Well, I bet you've got a lot more of those stories because I've heard some of them. So, but before we go there, and I know Amanda's got several questions for you. You were, I think, up in the New York area, or where? I think it was maybe last year, Amanda?
Yes, it was last year in April, I think, Amanda.
Yes, yeah.
It was the bone hunt.
It was the bone. Okay, the bone hunt. So I've got to go to the bone hunt someday. I'll get to go. But anyway, so y'all were at the bone hunt, and from what I heard, Amanda invited you, and I think Rusty. I don't know if was there anyone else.
No, it's just me and Rusty. I took Rusty up there this time. I've been to Bone about, I think, 4 years in a row now. And this year, Steve sent me and Rusty up there, and he's never hunted up there in the New England states. So it was a really cool experience for him.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was crazy because the weather was just
horrible,
crazy. It was just
really.
We got there one day and it just started snowing, and we're like, okay, this is weird. And then it became like a blizzard.
Oh no! So when y'all got to the button dump with Amanda, was it snowing there? How cold was it?
No, that was actually the best day that we were there. It was perfect. Cool.
Yeah, because it was
pretty warm.
Yeah, you were headed out too that day too, weren't you? Of course, when the weather gets nice.
We were leaving that day. We actually got up at like 3 a.m. and drove from. We were, I think, staying in Vermont. So we drove from Vermont. Or maybe we were in Rhode Island. Down to Rhode Island, or up to a road down. I don't know my states up there. And so, but yeah, we met Amanda. It was like, we texted her at like 5 a.m, like, hey, we're on our way. She's like, I'm on my way too. So, by the time we got there, she had already been digging. I was like, wow. I was like, and then we got about half a day, I guess. I think it was about half a day. We got there like 8. We got there at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we dug till about 12:30 or 1. So, because we were flying out that afternoon. So,
right.
But yeah, that was really cool because I'd never done anything like that before, and I had a blast.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And we're finding tons of buttons, and then Amanda found, I think you found a Merc, and you found a Wheatie.
Yep. It was like my first silver coin there, so it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. She said she'd never found a silver coin there, and of course I'm like, wish I found a coin. Not all trips can be memorable, but that was fun, and that it is memorable because I've never done anything like that before. I've always wanted to go dump hunting, and the only dump hunting I've ever done was down there in Jefferson at the Garrett Hunt, and that was for like an hour or two after the event was over, and everybody done picked over everything. So,
well, you got to come visit me then sometime.
Yeah.
I'll take you to.
I'd love to go down there, and my cousin lives in Austin, so that would be perfect.
Okay. Well, let me know when you're in this area.
I will. That'd be great.
Awesome.
But yeah, we had a blast. Rusty, we found tons and tons of buttons and stuff, and Rusty found was it a chauffeur's bag or?
Yes, a chauffeur's badge. Yes, from
Yeah, chauffeur's
Illinois,
badge.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
was it a badge
was like,
or
what
a
is that
pin?
doing here?
Was it a badge or a pin?
They're one and the
remember.
same. They're shaped like a badge, but it is a pin that they wear on their shirt. Yep.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
Because remember the first time I went there, I found one too, and it was a small one. But then I was digging the dump in Dallas with one of my friends, and she found a larger one that's more like a badge, but it still got the pin on the back.
Yep, it was just like that. It was a lot bigger than the little one you had found.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
cool. You could read it. Yeah, it was really nice.
Mm.
So with all the different
cool
types of detecting that you've done, the beaches and the parks and the fields and the woods and the cellar holes, what would you say is your favorite type of detecting to do?
I think all of them.
You're like me.
I mean, I really, I just love getting out. I really don't have I love going Civil War hunting. I mean, Texas, we don't have the history. That's the problem. Where I live, I have to go door knocking or something like that to get on some old property or start finding an old farmer or something like that to dig on their, and I got to do a lot of research to see if there's even anything there. And I'm that's part of the fun too, is doing the research and stuff like that. But to be honest, I love all of detecting. I don't have a problem. I'll go door knocking. I'll go field the cellar holes, beach, water. I've done it all. Prospecting. I went to Australia for 2 weeks with Tim and George when they were filming their show, Diggers, and that was an amazing trip. We did everything there. We dug on Bondi Beach. Bondi? I don't know how to say it. Bondi? I think that's how you say it, Bondi Beach in Sydney. Then we drove up to the gold fields. We hunted an old racetrack, a horse racetrack from like the mid-1800s. Then we went back to the gold fields. We did everything there. We hunted in an old 1800s. We were in our last hotel that we were in was a 1800s hotel. And the guy that was there, I guess he was a janitor or something, he recognized Tim and George. And he kept calling them KG and the Ringer or something. He was getting their names completely wrong. And they just went along with it. They're like, yeah. And he kept seeing us every day. We'd go down there for breakfast, and he'd see us. And he's like, it's KG and the Ringer. And he was all excited. Well, he invited us. We got permission to go bottle hunting in the basement from the owners of the hotel. It was a dirt floor down there, and he invited us all to go down there that last day. So we went down there that morning for a couple hours, and he had one of those what are they called, the bottle prods, it's like a metal
bottle probe.
A probe. He had one of those, and he was looking for bottles. Well, we took some detectors down there, and we were finding 1800 coins, like 1890s and stuff, in this just dirt field. And then he told us a story that there used to be tunnels underneath all the buildings down in the town, and one of the tunnels led underneath that one would go straight to the bank, and they pushed these little trolleys back and forth to move money underneath so they wouldn't get robbed. And so we were finding coins on the floor down there, and sure enough, KG had found a silver coin the whole trip. Like the whole trip, he was you could tell it was just like eating at him because, Tim's like poking at him and stuff because he'd already found like silver coins and stuff, just making fun of him everywhere we go. He's like, you still ain't found a silver coin. Well, sure enough, Steve's like, they're finding coins, and Steve's like, hey, KG, swing the detector for a minute and see if you can get you a coin. And sure enough, he swings the detector, and he pops out the only silver coin that was found down in that basement down there. And like within like a minute of us being there. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And of course they had to leave to go do some more filming, some voiceover stuff. So me and Steve stayed down there a little bit longer. And sure enough, we pulled out like another 3 or 4 more coins, and we ended up giving the guy and it was like the guy and his son or something, and his son's friend. They were down there bottle hunting. we gave them one or two of the coins, and we kept one ourselves, just to say, hey, we got an 1800s coin down there. I mean, they were corroded. They were just eat up, just kind of like the coppers that you find up there sometimes in New England. It's just, you can see a little bit of a date and maybe like the king's head or something on it, but it was still cool. You're finding coins in the bottom of this old hotel. I mean, who does that?
It's awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to another digger today, and they were talking about, we need to go to Australia. I said, well, I know a few people that live in Australia. Let's work on that this next year.
Right.
But that's cool. What a cool story.
But that's a long trip, just so you know.
Yeah, everybody keeps telling me how long of a trip that is.
17 and a half hours straight from Dallas to Sydney.
Ooh.
Yeah. You leave at like 10 o'clock at night, and you get there at like 6 in the morning, like 2 days later. It's just so weird. You're just like, what happened?
Crazy.
Yeah. And then when we left,
just teleport.
Right, when we left, it was like a Sunday at 2 o'clock from Sydney, and we landed in Dallas 30 minutes later. We went back in time. Basically, only 30 minutes had passed from the 15 hours or 17 hours that we flew back. I was like, how does that even work? It was the weirdest thing.
That's crazy. In a way, you did teleport.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, that's funny.
But yeah, I like all digging. If I had to choose one, I would say probably I like the woods. I like finding relics in the woods. It doesn't matter if cellar holes or just in Civil War or just the woods for something. I like being in the woods. Now, I don't like the snakes. I don't like the spiders. I don't like the bugs, but I like the woods. And so like here in like a couple of weeks, it would be perfect because everything's starting to die off. The winter's coming and stuff like that. That's the perfect time. So that's my favorite time to go out is detecting, is when it's cold and like, not too cold. I don't want to be like in the 20s or something, but I will. I've done it all. I've hunted in the snow. I've hunted in the rain. I've hunted in windy, the sun, 110 degrees in the desert. I mean, I've done it all. So I guess that's kind of a perk working for Garrett.
Yes.
Right. Oh, boy. Yeah.
I get a lot of
really
emails. Hey, man, you got the perfect job. You get to go everywhere and detect on places that most people don't even get to. I'm like, well, we can't help you.
It's true. So I know we've got several other questions. One quick question for you. So is it true? I think Garrett had announced something on their website. When are they going to be having the Charles Memorial Garrett, the hunt? When is that planned?
Well, I'm on their website right now, and if you go to the main page of Garrett and you scroll down to the bottom under the sport, at the very bottom, there's Garrett Memorial Hunt. If you click on there, you'll see the announcement that Garrett has taken the 2022 year off. We've decided to make it bigger and better than ever, with more prizes, more treasures to discover, and room for many more hunters. So we're basically in the planning stages for 2023. This is the first year that we've skipped in the last 5 years now. Yeah, I think 5 years. We've gone 4 or 5. I don't know. I lose track. but every one of them just gets bigger and bigger. And I mean, that just, to be honest, be a part of every one of them has been amazing. Just to see people's faces light up and stuff, and the camaraderie and the new friends that I've made from every one of them, it's just really, really cool. I mean, you see the same people come back every year. You see new faces every year. And from what I've heard, we probably have one of the best hunts in the States. I've never been overseas in Europe, but that's what I've heard from people that have attended other hunts throughout the States, that we put on one of the best hunts. So, and I'm that to me that puts a smile on my face because there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into these hunts, and the people that put these on. I mean, there's a small team of us that organize this stuff, and then I mean, we spend literally about a year and a half now or two to build these out, and it's so worth. I think for the attendees. I mean, we're always trying to come up with new games. We're trying to come up with new ideas, bring new prizes. We're constantly thinking of where to go and to plant stuff, new fields and stuff like that. We want to make it interesting for people. So that's what we're in the works of doing, is we're going to take a year off and make it bigger and better.
Well, that's exciting. I can't wait. So, Amanda, you've got an extra year. You got 2022 to plan for coming to 2023 to Texas to visit us. So
that's right. We're going to have to get down here.
Yeah. Yep. That would be great.
She hasn't got to come to Texas. Have you ever been to Texas at all?
I have not.
Visited?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to have to make that happen. So,
I've got one more state to knock off of my New England.
Oh, really? Which one?
My state.
Delaware.
Oh, I thought it was mine.
No, I've been to Maine. I've been to Maine. Yeah, me and Steve went to Maine for about 10 minutes, and we door knocked. and we detected this guy's house, and we didn't find anything. I found a Canadian penny, and I thought that was kind of cool. But I found a Canadian penny in this guy's front yard, and then there was a bunch of trash, and we were like, okay, we got to go. And then so we left, and we drove back to New Hampshire. But we just drove up there just to say we went to Maine. And we crossed over, I think it's Portsmouth.
Portsmouth? Yeah, Portsmouth.
Yeah, I don't. Y'all, everything up there, I say it completely wrong.
That's all right.
I'm trying to pronounce it.
And
we hung out with Lou before in Massachusetts, and he's telling us like all these different names of these towns. I'm like, yeah, I can't say that.
And hopefully I won't upset anybody, but as a New Englander, we don't claim Delaware.
Oh.
Or Maryland.
That's one state I've never been to Delaware, so that's the one state I haven't knocked off my bucket list up there.
Well, it's not too far. You got Maryland, and depending on if you head up to Pennsylvania or New Jersey, there's a good chance you'll go through Delaware.
Yeah, I've been to New Jersey, but I've never hunted New Jersey. I've been to New Jersey in the airport. That's about it.
Oh, all right. They wouldn't let you take your detector? Yeah.
What's that?
So you've been to Hawaii?
Yes, I have, but I've never detected. I went to Hawaii when I first got together with my wife.
Okay, so, gotcha.
Yeah, well, I'd love to go. We want to go back. We want to go back, and we want to go detect.
Right. Speaking of bucket listers, I know Amanda's got another question for you.
Yeah, I mean, do you have a white whale that you've been searching for that's on your list? I
do, actually. And most people, and I don't have a gold coin. I would love to find a gold coin. That'll always be a bucket. But actually, one of my big white whales is a real. I would love to find a real. I've never found one. Last year was when I went to Bone. My bucket lister was a large scent. I found 3. I was over the moon. And I was like, oh, crap, I found 3 large scents. So I just knocked that out of the park. Because I thought I was like, that's really what I wanted to find. I ended up finding 4 coppers last year when I went up there. But that was my white whale at the time. But now, and I've always been the real. I really want to find a real. I don't even care if it's a small one. I think that'd be really cool, because to me, that's Spanish history, I mean, we have them down here, but they're Mexico mints, right? Gypsy?
Right.
Have you ever found any reals down here? Steve has one that I think is a Mexico mint.
Yeah, a lot of them, when I lived in Galveston, a lot of them were found down near some of the ports and stuff. One of the necklace that I have is from there, one of the ports. in Texas. But yeah, they are very hard to come by, but they are found here in Texas. But most of that, you pretty much have to go up Amanda's way to New England. But yeah, you found quite a bit of seeded coins, though, haven't you? Or I know I was with you when you found one in particular, not all that long ago.
Yeah, that was, I think, my first.
Jace.
Yeah, I think that was my first, seeded coin. If not one, that's like only the second. I only have like one or two seeded coins.
Tell them about that.
Yeah, that was that was fun because we got to hunt with Jace, and he's a hoot. He makes me laugh. He calls me Ruiz. So Jace, he went on this podcast and told him that we went out hunting with them and stuff, and he was talking about me finding that seeded coin. I found it was a seeded half dime, and it was right in the spot where everybody was hunting too. I mean, everybody just walked right over it, and there was 10 of us at one time, I think, Gyps? 10 or 12 of us in that one field.
Yeah, and, there for a while. I mean, and you got into that one area there where it was like a bullet
with all the bullets.
Too.
Yeah, I found like 20 bullets in like a 10-foot radius or something like that. It was like 20, 25 bullets. I even let Gypsy and Steve jump in on it, and they found one or two. I was tired of digging them. I was like, man, they're everywhere.
They're like everywhere.
But it was funny because there was literally like 8 or 10 of us in that field, and everybody walked right past that, and then it was right on the edge where the field went. It was mowed, and then they were starting to, like, I guess, grow. They only mowed up to a certain spot, and right on the edge is where I found that seeded half dime. And Jace went on his podcast and was telling everybody about it, and instead of using my name, he called me Ruiz.
Right.
And so we thought it was funny. So the next time we saw him, I had some shirts made up, and it said "Digging with Ruiz," and it had my face on the end of it. And we gave him one, and he thought that was just crazy. He thought that was funny. So, and they called me Ruiz that whole second trip that we went to Virginia with Jay, and everybody just kept calling me Ruiz, like, "Hey, y'all seen Ruiz?" He's like, "No, we ain't seen Ruiz." So I was Ruiz that whole week. Everybody kept calling me Ruiz. It was just funny.
That's funny. That's so funny. Yeah, he's a hoot.
But yeah, that was a fun trip. But that was muddy. Remember, it was like,
oh my
raining.
Gosh, that was muddy. And I just gotten that calendar, and I don't remember if it was you or Brian that took that photo, but we're out in that field, and I was looking at the photo of him, Jace, and the photo of me. And you remember, I mean, we could hardly walk. We were like,
your boot would get stuck.
My boot, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, because we were testing the Reaper coil, and I had
you
on there for a while, and then I was following you in that muddy field, and then
oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It was just and it was cold. Not only was it muddy, it was cold. Remember, and then we had Steve our CEO, and John Boyd. He was there with us. Yeah.
Yeah. It was good to see Steve out there too. The other Steve, the CEO Steve.
Yeah. And, I think he found a couple bullets. He was finding some stuff too.
And who was the other guy from Garrett that was there? John?
One of our executives, John. Yeah.
Yeah, John. And, him going through the corn out there. But, yeah, he found some pretty cool stuff, too. I think I got him in my video out there. But that was a real fun trip. We're going to have to plan another one.
Yeah, it was snowing that morning, remember? We were sitting at the parking lot waiting for everybody. And it started snowing.
I forgot about that.
We were like, what in the world? And we stayed in that 1800s old plantation house. That was really cool.
Oh, that was cool. And there was an owl outside my window that whole first night that was hooting outside my window. It was crazy. I didn't sleep the first night.
Well, you didn't have the ghost room.
I must
Remember?
not have. You
they
had
gave
it.
me the ghost room. Yeah.
That plantation was really cool, though.
It was
really cool.
But I didn't see any ghosts, so that was good.
That's good. You were probably just sound asleep. There's probably moving things in your room and
phones on the other side of the room and stuff. So, but yeah, that was a fun trip.
It was fun. So, okay, we're all still looking for our big white whale, which is the gold coin, and
the real.
The real. Is there some other things that you found that, or I remember hearing a story. Remember when we went, oh gosh, remember when there was a baby pig, a wild pig that chased through an area? We were we were in Oklahoma.
We were in Oklahoma, and those pigs came through there. Yeah, that was crazy.
That was crazy.
Because we heard the dogs.
Right, we heard those dogs out there. It was crazy. So I remember I was out there, and I was detecting with you and Steve, and I don't remember who else was with us, but they were telling me about the first time they brought you there. I think you found a ring.
Yes, I did. That was my first gold ring. I found out in the middle of the woods. Basically, why was it even there? And nobody knows why to this day. We still don't. We think it was just a hunter or something. A hunter had lost it or something like that. But it was my first gold ring, and I found it with the Ace 400. Believe it or not.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool.
I was using the 400. Sometimes I just like to change it up when we go on our trips, and or we just need photos. They're like, Miguel, you're using the 400 today. We need a photo.
Here. I've got a pinpointer with your box over here in my relic room, and it's got your face on it. Well, your whole body, really, because you're bending down.
Yeah, they put me on everything. That helps when you're the graphic designer.
Here.
So.
Right. It's funny.
But for a while, they had a whole wall of me. It was on the ads. We have we kind of have in our office, we have like a war room. And so on the wall, we have all our ads where we run and stuff. And, so people come in, they can show them, they can look and see what we're doing and stuff like that. And at one point, almost every ad on the wall was just all me. It wasn't all the same picture, but it was all individual.
But it was you.
It was just me. Every ad, because they're just like, just use me all the time. And they're like, there's that Miguel guy again.
That's hilarious. Well, let me ask you a question. I know we didn't discuss maybe this kind of question, and you can just tell me to fly kite if you want. Can you tell us, or is Garrett working on any new products?
Garrett's always working on new products. We're constantly having to keep up with the competition and stuff like that, and we constantly got to stay ahead of the competition, because if we don't, we'll just get dry and the company will just go down. So you can't. So Garrett's always working on new things, and that's pretty much as I can say. I can't go into liberty and say anything like a specific detector or anything like that. But yes, Garrett is always. We are working on new machines and stuff like that. And you also remember, Garrett is not just a hobby company. We make security, we make countermines, stuff like that. So we're constantly working. We've got our engineers and stuff like that constantly brainstorming on new ideas and stuff. But yes, we are constantly working on new machines. So, in the future, there will be something new. How long? I can't say.
That's awesome.
And even then, I don't even know. They only tell me so much. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole.
Here, go take this new product and let's go take some photos of you.
Pretty much, yeah. That's when I find out. Yeah.
Right.
But you know what? That's kind of the perk. I get to go field test new stuff.
Right.
We got to field test the Pro Pointer AT when it came out, and the Z-Link. I got to field test the AT Max. I was one of the first people to have the Apex. I field tested it for about 3 months before it even got into an influencer's hand. And actually anybody else's hands, to be honest. I was pretty much one of the field testers. Yeah, it was kind of neat to, and granted, it was still an early development product and stuff, but to me, that's kind of cool because then I can take it back. I can tell Steve this is what I think this is doing here and here, we need to tweak this, and that's really cool to be part of that development of a product,
really is.
I don't feel like, I'm part of the team now. I'm like, hey, they're actually taking some of the stuff that I'm finding out that's made, they're using it and stuff, and that's really neat. So, and that's one thing that was really cool is that I definitely love about the Apex is the iron audio tone that you can adjust.
Oh, me
too. That is
me too.
One of my number one highly recommended favorite things that you can do to have on a detector, and I hope every detector that I ever swing in the future has that, because I love hearing the iron, but I love being able to turn it down in the background.
Turn it down. Yep, I'm the same way.
And I turn mine down to about 2 or 3, and then I just let it, and I leave it on. So, but it just dogs. That's why I recommend the Apex. I mean, it's great for a novice, but it's even good for someone that's experienced detectorist, because it's got so many cool features. It's wireless. It's got the iron audio. It's got ground balance. It's amazing on saltwater beaches. My family and I, we went up to Oregon over the summer for vacation, and we went to the beach, and I was swinging on the beach, and I didn't even know the machine was on. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so freaking quiet. And I kept swinging my shovel over it to make sure that it was still working, because I know you've done some beach hunting with it, and I was like, this is like night and day to other
I
machines.
literally had to do the same thing the first time I was testing it out in the wet sand, because I've been beach hunting for so long, because that's, when I first started metal detecting, I started detecting the beaches in Galveston. And so it was hard to find detectors that worked well on the beach. And so when that Apex came out and I tested it out in Florida, I was having to swing it, the scoop over to make sure it was still working. Same thing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But I love it.
The technology for that multi-salt just blows me away. I would, if you're a beach hunter, I would put it up against any other machine, to be honest, on the beach, because it's so quiet.
Yes. I absolutely love it on the beach, and hopefully going to a beach spot in January. So I'll tell more about that later, but excited about that. So anyway, we are running out of time. It is time to close it down. I know Amanda's got another question for you, though, before we close it down for the night.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, obviously you detect a lot more places than the good majority of us, but if you could detect anywhere with no laws or rules, where would you want to detect and why?
Interesting. If I could detect anywhere, I would probably want to go overseas into Europe, like one of the famous castles or something like that. I've never been over to Europe. Some the finds that I see from when they do the detectives and stuff like that, and then there's a couple of groups over there that take people out and stuff like that. I think
detecting holidays.
Yeah, detecting holidays. They find some amazing finds, and to me that's great, because that's history being saved from, that blows our history away. Like their history is going back to like biblical times, where we will never ever have that here at all. And I've never done that. And so to me, that would just to find like a 15, 16, 1400 coin, that would be amazing. That history there is I don't know, it just does something to you. You're like, wow,
Right.
This was here for 500-600 years or 1,000 years. Someone actually held this coin, and I mean, I think that would be mind blowing to go overseas to hunt. I mean, to be honest, it wouldn't even have to be a castle. I'd be happy just going off field. Just to be over in there, I would go over Europe somewhere. It would just to find some history, to save old history, because that to me that'd be the ultimate, just going overseas.
Awesome.
Definitely.
All right.
Well, Miguel, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight, and we appreciate you taking the time and kind of late notice to jump on here with us and talk about your adventures. And it's been a lot of fun, and we'll have to have you on again in the future for sure, because I know that, being with Garrett there, you've got many more adventures ahead of you. And hey, hopefully this next year, 2022, all three of us will get to go to Europe and do some digging. I'm hoping.
Yes.
My fingers are crossed anyway. So.
Right.
For sure.
Well, thank you, both of y'all, for having me on. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been a blast. Now, you also, where can people find you? Now, of course, I know you're on Facebook and Instagram and other things, but you also have a YouTube channel called Mig Digs, correct?
Yeah, I don't. I don't
update
my YouTube videos. That I've got about, I think, 5 or 6 maybe in the last 7 years that I've been working. See, the thing is with that is that I do it for Garrett. So when I go out on my own, the last thing I want to do is be filming myself and stuff. Yeah. So I mean, and it's a lot of work, and I'm like, I just want to go find stuff.
Right. Exactly.
But no, I mean, they can see me on the Garrett videos. I'm in a lot of the Garrett videos. I have my own Facebook page, Mig Digs, M-I-G-S, Mig, M-I-G-D-I-G-S, Mig Digs. So if you just do @Mig Digs on Facebook, I have my own little personal digging page, plus my personal page, which has got a lot of friends on there and stuff. And I get people adding me all the time that are just diggers. And I'm like, yeah, why not?
Right.
Make some connections.
Right.
So.
Definitely.
Well,
awesome.
Yep, I appreciate
it. Thanks again, and hopefully we'll be seeing you soon. And happy Thanksgiving to you, Meg. And
y'all too. Y'all have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You all have a great. Go ahead.
Nope, I was just good night, all.
Y'all have a good night, and I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.